Hey everyone, today I want to talk a little bit about paid coaching. I don't think this will be a particularly long ramble or anything, but I do want to talk about it a little bit. Obviously, I have paid coaching on my Medify. I do that right now, so there's going to be a little bit of bias here. But I feel like talking about it a bit. So I'm going to go over a few things. I'm going to talk about two of the most impactful coaching sessions that I had, because yes, I've gotten my own sets of coaching before, both paid and had people volunteer to help with Moonlight, for instance. And on top of that, I want to talk a little bit about what I do in my coaching sessions and if I think it's worth it. So let's get started. Two of the most impactful coaching sessions that I've had is I had FLC look over a VOD of mine in early Splatoon 3 and gave Last Resort a bit of a direction. To make a very long story short, because this was a longer session, FLC gave a lot of ideas in terms of the idea of running quick respawn and multiple Splatanas together and seeing how that aggressive playstyle would pan out for us. It eventually developed through work with my own team into double splash, double sword, QR aggressive type stuff that Last Resort ended up being known for. It helped our team get a direction and figure out an identity that we didn't have before that led to a lot of competitive success. Another session I had was one for Moonlight. I think this was about a year after I started coaching the team, where one day I thought, you know what, it might be helpful to get another pair of eyes on the team. I've been coaching them for a while, and I have my own ideas and such, but I'm curious what another coach who has experience coaching top level would say if they, got in a voice chat and hung out with the team and watched a VOD back and got a different pair of eyes on it. And so I asked Ren to coach for a bit, and he, agreed to go over a VOD with Moonlight. Obviously, this wasn't me playing by any means, but I did set up this coaching session, and it was my idea as the coach for the team normally. And I also found it very impactful. I don't have too many specific examples from it, but there were a few things that he went over that I didn't really think about before, or just, stuff that came from having a different perspective that I found useful. Both of these sessions were pretty important to me, and I found them pretty helpful. So, what is coaching for? I think coaching mainly should be about getting goals, directions, and ideas out there for what you can do to improve on. I think it is best for people who feel stuck or aimless on what they need to do to get better. Sounds kind of obvious, but I feel it's worth reiterating here at least a little bit, right? I think that coaching is best when you don't have a direction to improve on. For a lot of people, they'll already have a general idea of what they need to improve on. Obviously, there's a lot of different aspects and elements in the game to get better at, so you might be missing some things or be doing some things incorrectly. But I think generally, if you're trying to make progress and you have that internal cycle of trying things and reflecting on it, and that's all working well for you, then I don't really think coaching is the most necessary thing in the world. Unless you are really, really focused on trying to improve as quickly as possible and don't mind spending money on that, etc. But to me, that's a bit of a luxury. Paid coaching in general is kind of a luxury. And I think if you are going to spend extra money on a hobby like this, you should generally have a good idea of what you want out of it. You should go into a coaching session with a lot of goals and thoughts and ideas that you want to get out there that should be discussed, I think it should be something where you should have a very clear idea of what you want to get out of it if you're going to do this kind of thing, and you should ensure that you really do need it, At least that would be my thought process before spending some of my own money, back when I competed, right? So, what's a coaching session actually like? Now, personally, I'm only going to speak about what my own coaching sessions are like, because, every coach is going to be a little bit different, and so this will also be a good idea for those of you who are considering getting my coaching specifically to know kind of what the basics are. I currently offer 3 different options. The first one is a replay review. This is set to be the most convenient one. You give me a replay code, I will go over that replay code on my own, record that, and then send it to you. It's usually pretty short, and it allows me to do it on my own time. It's also very convenient for the person booking it. You don't have to meet with me at a certain time or do any process. Book the session, give me the code, give me a basic overview of what you want. That's about it until the VOD gets out in like a week, and then you go review the VOD. All VODs for coaching are shared as unlisted videos, so they're only sent to you, the person who booked the session. And I mean, you can share it if you want, but you don't have to. Most people tend to keep it to, just to themselves, which is totally fair. That's what I do with any of my coaching sessions. Alright. Besides that, I have an individual session. This is 30 minutes where we go over different replay codes, but this time we're in a voice call together. We can talk about different things, or you can ask questions, or, whatever the sort. You get all the benefits that you might expect from being in call with the other person, being able to have a conversation. It's a little more inconvenient to schedule, though. This now has to be a time that both of us can make. This is 30 minutes, and that's what it says on the site, but in reality, 30 minutes is the minimum. I don't tend to go too far over the limit by any means, but if you book a session with me that's for 30 minutes or an hour or whatever, then I consider that the minimum amount of time, considering you're literally paying for it, and I don't want to do anything less. The other session I have is an hour-long session, and it is specifically for teams. It is the exact same process as an individual session, except now I am in call with the entire team going over things, and it is a bit longer. Why do I do the session lengths at the amount of time they do? First off, I kind of prefer shorter sessions with people I don't really know too well. In general, I think that I can give a good amount of goals and things to work on, and I don't want to overwhelm people by giving them too many different things to do at the same time. So I think keeping sessions smaller and more focused is generally better. Obviously, when it's a team, it ends up being longer because there's like 4 different people, so there's both notes that'll be given to the team as a whole, but also there'll be things individually for each person to work on. So that one I feel warrants a little bit longer of a time. Obviously, if you really wanted a longer session, there would be nothing stopping you from just booking multiple replay reviews or individual reviews, but personally, I don't think it's really as necessary. I think the value would start to decrease over time. Right, I think that 30 minutes is enough to where I can give a good amount of direction to work on. But that's just me, you know. Other coaches will do it differently. They'll prefer longer sessions. Some might prefer, you know, doing things in different ways. And that's totally up to each individual person who has Medify sessions open. So things can vary for sure. And I think that's also worth something pointing out. There are a lot of different coaches out there. People will coach and give advice in different ways. I think it is a totally good idea to experiment with different coaches rather than just booking the same one every single time. I mean, if you have a coach you like and it works for you, great, that's totally fine. But there's a lot of options out there, and I don't think there's really any harm in seeing, you know, who works out best for you. At the end of the day, it's about your own individual improvement more than anything else, and if one particular coach is better for you than others, or if having a varying amount of different perspectives helps you out more, then go for that, you know? It's your own sessions, and you should do what you want. Do I think coaching is something that people should get, you know, paid coaching for the majority of the player base? Probably not. Probably not even the majority of the competitive player base. I think coaching is a pretty niche thing, and I don't really think that will change too much. The amount of people who are super into the thing they do to the point where they would spend money and, you know, want coaching to work on what they want to do is probably going to be pretty slim. For a period of time, I myself fell into that group, and now I'm just the coaching end. I don't really play anymore, right? But I personally had some sessions that I did feel helped me a lot personally, you know, as an individual, that I really enjoyed. But I was also very set on improving. I had both the time and the money to where I didn't mind dedicating to that and was able to get a lot out of it. If you don't have as much time, let alone the money to afford it, then you're not going to get as much out of a session. Sucks, but that's just kind of how things are, right? And so, I think if you want to invest in this, you should really think about if you want to spend money on this. If this is really something you want to do to get better, it's a good option, and it might help you. And again, I think in particular, if you're someone who's stuck or directionless on improving or feels like they haven't made progress for a long time, this could be something that would help you to, you know, try and get a better direction. But I think it's always going to depend a little bit on the individual, and each person should think about their situation a little bit, and if they've really exhausted all other options first. Anyway, that's just my thoughts. Thanks for watching. Bye!